Hello and welcome back to Taekwondo, bro. Today we're doing a flexibility video. So I'm going to be going through all these different stretches you can do. Like right now I'm doing the single hamstring stretch. And pretty much the basics are is you can either follow along, make this a little bit of a stretching workout so you can follow my timing, follow the video, switch when I switch. Or you can just go through and look for some different stretches you can do in your training. And let's just get started on this one. Let's explain why. So this is a really easy one to do to start off. Right now I'm turning over the other leg. I'll explain that in just a second, but I'm going to switch back to this leg. So important part here is your knee is straight, so you want your leg as straight as possible, right? Your goal is to get both of your arms to your toe, right? And then that other leg is going to be folded kind of like in a half butterfly stretch. You'll feel this in your hamstrings and also in the lower back. And then stretching over the side, you want to get your chest to your knee without lifting the other leg off the floor, and that's more of a glute stretch. That's a little thing you can do at the end. So the next one we're going to do is the standing leg extension. Requires a little bit of balance, right? But here's the basics of it. You just grab your foot, you counterbalance yourself, and then you straighten it with your arm. So I'd say very useful for kicking, especially in martial arts, because you'll be doing a lot of balance on that one leg when you're kicking, right? So it's great for front kicks. And then also I feel it in the low back, but mainly in the groin area, because that's where your legs are stretching out. And I'm just showing some high kicks right there. You know, that's what the stretch is good for. Okay, so the butterfly stretch. So you're gonna be having your feet touching each other, right? Your elbows kind of on your calves, and then your two hands are going to pull you forward. I'm not going very deep right now, just getting into it. You want your knees down on the floor just like that. So if you're having a hard time, actually take your hands and push your knees down. I don't have that problem right now. And then you want to go as low as you can so you can get your chin to your feet. You can even get your nose to the floor. And sometimes I even get my chin to the floor. So this works a lot on your hips, getting them open up, especially for something like a crescent kick. I would say that help you a lot. Okay, seated hamstring stretch. We're doing both. So yeah, you're just gonna reach for your toes this one. Keep your knees straight though. Don't lift them up. I see people lift them up just to get those toes, and that's not the point. So you'll feel this in your back and your hamstrings, and also in your lats. If you have tight lats, you'll feel it on the side of your body. And for me, I have really tight calves too sometimes. So I have to struggle to keep my feet like pointed up, but that's just, you know, more time stretching, you'll get over any of those problems. Just got to spend some time every day when you work out, give a couple minutes of stretching. So we're doing the seated leg extension. So this is the easier version of the other one where we were standing. So take your leg and you're going to grab it. Now you can either use the second hand to put it on the knee like I am, just to give some like more leverage to it. And if you can't straighten it, just get as close as you can, and it's probably not going to feel very good, but just stretch it, and then over time you will get more flexible, and then you'll hold it. And then if you want a little extra, lower the leg and aim it forward. You'll feel it a little bit more on the glutes and also a lot more in the lower back when you do that switch, okay? So we're going to do the other side now. So when you grab your foot, by the way, grab it by the ball of your foot. That way, when you stretch up and you're extended all the way, you're pulling back on your foot, so it gives you a little bit of a calf stretch, right? Now, don't lock your leg out super hard. You never want to bang your joints like that. And then try to hold it there. Now, you might feel this at the very base of the hamstrings. That's kind of where I feel it. So almost closer to where the glutes are. And then, of course, aim it forward. Get a little bit more of a stretch. Trust me, you do feel it differently when you aim it forward like that. So I definitely would try that at the end of your stretch. Okay, so the classic split stretch. Everyone's seen Jean-Claude Van Damme do the stretch. So what's important about the split stretch is you take your time to get into it. One time I kind of pulled a muscle going into it too quickly. So take your time, stretch a little bit every day, don't go beyond your limits. And then right now, as you can see, my feet are sideways, toes pointing out. That way it pulls your legs out a little bit because your heels are digging. But you can also take your legs and point the toes up. Now what's important when you do this is you don't want to be in front of your hips. You want to be sitting over your hips. Kind of like that too. You can go all the way back. Put all that weight over there. And with time, again, you can get to a full split, you know, I wasn't really naturally flexible when I was a kid, but all the martial arts training over the years has helped me out a lot. And then you can also reach to one side, or you can reach to both, and then you can just, sit up, hands off the floor, and that's going to put the most pressure on your tendons, get you all stretched out. And if you can do that, that's not easy, kind of feels a little bit funky, but after a while, you get used to it, your body gets a little bit deeper. Now, this will help you out for a side kick, a front kick, or a roundhouse kick, even knees. Anything where you're lifting your leg up or sideways, or you're in a deep stance, this will help you out because you're allowing your legs more mobility, okay? So what I'm going to do now is a little bit of a variation of it. We're going to go back into the split. You don't need to turn if you're following me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lean forward, right? I got my elbows down. Now what I'm doing is I'm like hitting a different angle, right? So as you can see, my legs are kind of splayed out and they're not exactly flat, right? So if I lean forward on them, it kind of makes them go out more to the side. And then also, sometimes people like to sit like this more, so if you're doing the stretch for a long time and you're feeling a little bit, down, go forward. But don't go too far forward, because then you're not stretching anymore. You want to put the pressure on where your legs are, because that's where the stretch is, okay? And then, of course, coming out of the split stretch, take your time, take it slow. You can either sit forward like that and then get up kind of slowly. Okay, so we got the back hero, or the laying quad stretch. I used to do this a lot because I thought it was pretty cool. So you lay down pretty much, and some people get stuck like this, but trust me, I'll show you how to get up. So what you do is you're stretching your kind of like where your abs are, but mainly your quadriceps, right? You got your shoulders down. Your objective is you want your knees and your shoulders on the floor at the same time, and then you could try to get your knees to touch each other. So I'm just showing you kind of like the angle that your legs are stretching at. So it's stretching the quads and the outside part. Yeah, so not really the back part where the hamstrings, it's the front part of your legs. Now this helps you out with chambering, right? So you chamber for a roundhouse kick, or you re-chamber. That is where your legs got to go. And also deeper stances too, this will help you out. But mainly it's to make sure your quads don't get hurt. So if they're really tight, you have a risk of pulling them. You don't want that. Okay, we're doing a buddy stretch now, buddy front kick stretch, and I'm using my good old buddy Bob here. So you can do this with human beings in class too. So what you do is you get your front kick up on the shoulder, then they kind of stand up taller and raise it. Of course, Bob isn't having that. He's not moving anywhere, okay? So I just had to put it up there. Now, you can't see my bottom foot, but my bottom toes are aimed forward, right? It's a natural tendency that when you lift your leg super high, your foot wants to turn sideways. Don't let that happen. So if you keep it facing forward, you'll put more pressure on the front of the bottom leg, okay? So sometimes people have a problem when they kick their foot up, they kind of run out of flexibility on the base leg, right? In a front kick, you see right there? Where the bottom of my leg and then kind of going up, and then you see my legs going up to Bob's shoulder, right? Some people, they can't do that after a certain point without turning their foot sideways. So you don't want that, because that's going to throw off your stance. So what you do is you just take your time, get good at stretching with the front kick, but make sure you got those feet forward. And also try to keep your ground knee straight. You don't want the bottom leg straight when you're normally kicking, but for the stretch you do. And then you can also try to stretch forward to get your head to the knee if you're feeling like it. Okay, so here we have the buddy side kick stretch. Pretty much the same concept here. If you're using a real person though, don't put your foot on their head. That might make them a little bit angry, okay? So this time, you're stretching with your foot sideways on the bottom. So remember when I said with the front kick, you don't want it sideways? Well, here you do, and that's just because of the angle that the side kick gets thrown at, right? So it's a little bit easier to get higher with the side kick. So I'm just going to switch it up right now. Chamber up. Try to keep your balance when you switch it. And also, look at my toes. They are facing sideways on Bob's head right now, keeping a good angle. So you don't want your toes to kind of go up like a front kick. If that's happening, you're probably a little bit tight on the glutes. So just when you kick, practice keeping those toes down, and then you get the muscles going, you get your technique going after a while, you just get better at it. That's what happened to me. In the beginning I had a problem with the side kick, and now I can side kick easily over Bob's head, and I can even kick over my own head, and that's pretty cool, good flexibility there. Okay, so single leg hamstring, and this is a combo with the single quad, okay? So the leg that's bent is the quad, and the leg that's straight is the hamstring. This is a little bit harder because I feel like it, it takes away a little bit of the mobility that you'd have with both your legs on the floor. So this is a little bit harder than the two-leg one, where you have both your legs down reaching for your toes. Now for me, my calves are the tight part of my legs, so that's where I feel it the most in this stretch. But for you, it might be your quads, or it might be the hamstring, or it could be the low back. Everyone's a little bit different. So if you're having a problem with any one of those areas, the simple answer is to spend more time stretching, focus on that zone, and eventually you get better at it. Important part with this one, I'd say, is try not to lean too much to the side. You want your bent foot kind of be near where it is right there. You don't want it sideways. It's hard to explain. You don't want it out all the way to the side. You want it almost underneath your body, but not exactly, okay? So really close to where your glutes are. And then reach forward for those toes. If you're really flexible, you can get your head down to your knee. That's not easy, but you know what? Sometimes doing the easy thing, it's not going to get you more flexibility. And also, if you have super tight lats, again, you'll feel it there. Just like the normal hamstring stretch, it depends on where you're the tightest. So this is a great one, touching your toes, standing hamstring stretch. So, great way to loosen up the hamstrings, okay? If you're having trouble with the hamstrings, this is a really easy one to do, and it's hard to cheat, so you're good. All you gotta do is keep your knees straight. Now here's a tip. If you're having a problem, don't go all the way down, right? Grab like your ankles or however deep you can go, and then use your quad muscles, right? Flex the quadriceps, and then it'll naturally pull your legs straight. So if you're a little bent, reach down, bend your knee a little bit, and then straighten them out. Okay, here we're gonna do a step over, right? So we're stepping over with one foot in front of the other, and then stretching down. So you're going to feel it more in the leg that's in front because it's a little more distance, and you'll feel this almost in the glutes, I'd say. And it's really helpful, especially if one leg is tighter than the other. You will realize it, and then all you gotta do is spend a little more time on that side. But for the most part, this is just a great way to mix it up, and it's a little bit more intense, so when you cross the leg over, it's just a little bit harder. And if you're already flexible, might as well go for the challenge. So the next stretch is pretty key. I don't see a lot of people doing it. So what you do here is you want to keep your shoulders kind of straight. Don't let them shrug up. You want your shoulders relaxed, and just bend your head sideways, and then you can roll it over to the other side. So if you have like almost when you're doing shrugs, right? You have a tight upper neck, right at the base. That is where you're going to feel this one. So I like to do it especially after doing a lot of schoolwork or something, typing, or if you're working all day at a desk. Keep those shoulders down, stretch it out. Now the neck, why would you want to stretch your neck out as a martial artist? You're not doing any kicks with your neck, right? Well, actually, most parts of your body, you'd be better off if you're stretching, right? So if you're having any neck pain, it'll get rid of that. And if you have super tight muscles on the top of your shoulders, right, and they're really tight, that's going to make your punches weaker. So with the chicken wing stretch here, all we're doing is grabbing that arm, pulling it across. It just kind of makes it a little bit harder to go all the way down, and that therefore gives you a better stretch. But as I was saying, if you have super tight shoulders, it makes your punches weaker because you can't rotate, and overall, you don't want to be tight. Because if you're tight, it makes it harder to throw a kick, right? So if I have X amount of strength and I throw a front kick and I'm super inflexible, even if I can get up to that point, it's not going to be as strong because you're losing all that force fighting your tendons, right? If your tendons are looser and you kick all the way up there, less resistance. So chest stretch here, working on the kind of the inside of the chest. So what you do is you grab your own arms behind you, straighten them out, and then you can do a little bit of a neck stretch up there. Lean forward, sideways, and to the back too. Now, when you're doing the neck stretch, this one's working definitely the base of the neck more. And when I'm looking down like that, I almost feel it like behind my shoulders. It's kind of an interesting sensation. And just like always, if you have a tight chest, it'll actually start pulling your shoulders forward, and then it's going to mess up your posture. But on top of that too, you'll have the same problem with the punches, and with any technique in general, is that the tighter you are, the weaker your strikes will become. And in general, you just don't want to have super tight tendons and muscles all day, because that causes a little bit of pain. After stretching out, you just feel a lot better, and also it helps you get better kicks, better technique, cleaner moves, and overall, you'll just be better at doing what you like doing best, which is martial arts and fitness. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope the stretches help you out in your exercise and training regime so you can reach the next level. Don't forget to like and subscribe.